It's Dave and Wanda from WGRC, along with Sophia, hanging out here at the Old Mill Creamery in Mifflinburg. I've heard so many people say, Dave, why haven't you been there yet? Well, today I can change that.
We are so excited. I can't even tell you, I can't count how many times I've been here. This was a part of my almost daily ritual for a while. You guys are going to get to see how the ice cream is made, what they all sell, and introduce you to the owner, who's a personal friend of mine, John Nolt.
Well, that all sounds good, but the final step, I want to see how it tastes.
That's true. That's very important. Very important piece of it.
And I don't know, should we, Sophia, you don't want to taste any, do you?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Let's go do that then.
All right, let's go find out John.
WGRC's Around the Valley is sponsored by Zook Septic Services, serving central Pennsylvania. Contact them for inspections, repairs, and system maintenance needs at 570-837-1466 or at zookseptic.com.
It's Dave and Wanda from WGRC's morning show, and we are at a sweet place, literally. In Cowan, right off Route 192, the Old Mill Creamery. I have never been here before. People keep talking about it, so it's about time we made it.
I can't even count how many times I've been here. I've been here a lot. So this is my friend, John Nolt. I'm so excited to get to tour the creamery and see all the work that you've done. John is the owner of the Old Mill Creamery here.
Actually, soon after I started milking cows, I remember saying to my mom, you know, I wish we could sell to our local community.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't feasible location-wise. I studied it and looked at locations until this came up. So now we're a little over 2 years after the doors officially opened, and we're enjoying it.
And you're busy.
That means a lot of other people are enjoying it too.
Yes,
we like that. That's the main purpose of being open.
Yeah, that's great.
Keep people.
Sophia and I, we're looking forward to enjoying it. Tell us a little bit about the history of the creamery. How long have you had it? When did you open? And then share with us about this building. I know we're going to see more of the building, but it's just a great historic building.
Yes, there is. When we start talking about history, it's sort of hard to know where to start because when you work with a building that's almost 200 years old and all the people stop in and talk about it, you become educated on local history by default. Yeah. So I really enjoy antiques, old buildings. So it really played into my love for dairy products. And I don't think I fully realized the value of taking a landmark building and restoring it as far as how it complements something like local homemade foods.
Yes.
It really partners well. And it was a long road opening. We purchased the property, the corner lot here in a sad condition in, I think it was December of 17. And at that point, I really hadn't even seen the possibility of creamery here. It had been in the back of my mind to do a creamery for 20 some years.
Wow.
And I had studied it and gone to classes and always read the articles about direct marketing. So it was a long study project, but as the winter progressed, we thought, you know what? You aren't getting any younger. And,
it's time.
And I had 3 boys just out of school, so I had more in-house labor than at any other time in my life. I knew it wouldn't last. A few short years, they grow up and on their own. So by spring, we said, it's now or never. We're jumping.
Yeah.
It took us about 4.5 years combined with restoring building. And at all that time, the research and education was going on about running the creamery, finding equipment. I have a huge thank you to Penn State's short course on ice cream. I don't think we would have got to where we are as far as learning how to balance ice creams without that program.
Yeah.
So they have amazing outreach programs. I have done another one on cultured products, although I'm not doing anything in the yogurt field. We don't know what the future all holds on different things, but there's a ton of, there's a long story behind the start of this project, and it wasn't, I want to make very clear, it wasn't me, it was my family and everybody that was backing us. And as far as running this place today, we have an amazing crew of employees here.
Yeah.
I almost don't like to call them employees. They're an extension to our family. I mean, we work together and they back up each other when schedules need to be backed up. Just been really blessed.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we can attest to that we know you can't understand it on video is that it smells good in here.
I think that's mostly the waffle cones, homemade waffle cones.
You are correct.
Yes.
And I won't take an awful lot of credit for that. I will give it to credit where credit is due. And that is somebody that was in the industry a long time. And we knew we wanted to make waffle cones. And I bought, I don't know how many different kinds, and I just wasn't real happy. So I called somebody in the industry that was willing to share.
Wow.
We weren't real close. And he said, well, in all these years, this is the one we always ended up going back to. So it's a little hard to get, but anymore, we buy it by the skid. And that is a lot of waffle cones. I mean, I don't know. The peak of the summer, we checked at one time, we were doing well over 2,000 cones a week, like 2,200 cones a week.
Wow, waffle cones.
Yes.
Wow.
Just the waffle cones, not the cups and the other cones. But yeah, the girls do an awful lot of waffle cones.
It smells so good.
Yeah, we get a lot of compliments on that, and it is a really good quality waffle cone that we use.
Well, why don't we take a tour and see where all this good
smell
is coming
from? Yeah.
We have the bulk tanks in here. We basically blend everything in the center vat here. That can be from whole milk standardizing to state values. It can be blending chocolate milk, and it also is blending all our ice cream base mixes blended in here. But then we use HTSD pasteurization, which stands for high temperature short time, which is like 90% of the milk in the US is processed this way.
Okay.
You have the ultra high temp, which then sterile packaging, does not need to be refrigerated, used for humanitarian aid. You don't have to refrigerate to ship it somewhere. My personal preference is not to make milk quite that hot because you kill all of the enzymes. Or pretty much. You couldn't make yogurt with that milk because it's too sterile. I still love to fill in and make in a batch of ice cream myself. Everything is done in those two freezers in the corner there. You put 2.5 gallons of base mix in plus your flavoring, and it gives roughly 4.5 gallons of ice cream by the time you have it churned. Like when the product's finished, we will have a float in here and it keeps this full, and then there's funny valves that go on here. So an empty bottle goes on this side. The empty bottles go in here. They'll run through, and they're on a cam. They'll lift up. Like right there, it's coming up. And that would open the valve.
Yeah.
So it fills as it goes around. And then when it comes over here, this is the cap distributor.
Oh.
So it'll come into this star drive. There it'll be dropping down, grabbing a cap.
Yep.
And then it pushes the cap on. It's a snap cap. Cap on.
That is so cool.
And it comes around, and that's the finished jug.
Here.
So here we rinse them off, put them in crates, and
good to
go into the cart.
That's really cool.
So he moved his mill from Lewisburg area up to the Forest Hill area.
Okay.
And this was during the French and Indian War. And he had like 15 acres, and you can find it in the census book.
Okay.
He went through the census. He had a couple animals. He had the mill, and he had 12 or 15 acres. But it lines up that within about 2 years, somebody came and said, no, I was granted this land. This is not yours. So they got into a dispute, and they went to the closest courthouse, which happened to be Sunbury. And history has it, he went to court and he lost, even though he's in the old census records as owning that.
Yeah.
So that is how this little village started.
What in the world?
Because he went home and got his employees. It was a semi-portable mill. They put the wheels on it and moved it to this intersection.
That is so cool.
And it was a really small mill. He wore that one out. the bits and pieces we've gathered. And then another guy said that mill was a good location. It did pretty good. So they built a wooden one. When you look at the pictures pre-fire and post-fire, they did not have a dormer before the fire.
Okay.
This was even full ceramics and ceramic molds.
Oh, no way.
We worked hours and hours.
That's a lot to clean up.
The most extensive tour is you actually go see the cows, you go through the creamery, and then we do the history aspect, and then we sometimes we'll do like start outside with a little history of the building, back at the creek with water power.
So there's all kinds of different versions.
There's different versions, and
this is the chocolate chip mint. You ready? Oh my word, that's good.
Well, this has been a sweet-filled day. John, thank you so much for taking us around, showing us the production here. We learned a lot about your heart. We learned a lot about the goodness. We learned a lot about why people said, Dave, why haven't you been there yet?
Right?
It's just been a great time and interesting as well, hanging out in a historic building, seeing what you can do with it. And so thank you so much.
yeah, it's been my pleasure, especially doing it with my good friend Wanda.
Yeah.
Just been good to connect again. And it's what we do. It's where our passion is. So it's not really hard to get me talking about it because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, you know, I drove by this place for years as a little girl, and it was empty, and it was just always looked sad, right? And now I love coming by here, and there's always cars in the parking lot, and I know what's inside. So it's just really neat to see this building restored and being used again.
Listen, watch this all the way through. At the end, we'll give you the contact information. You can find out exactly where we are, find out more about the creamery, and how you can come taste some of the goodness. But also, if you have an idea for around the valley, a craft, hobby, or occupation, or even a place of interest that you would like us to get a look at, be sure to submit your ideas via email. Here's the address, morningshow@wgrc.com. That's morningshow@wgrc.com. And who knows, next time we may just see you
Around the valley.
All right, let's go shopping.
All right.
Should I take one of everything with Dottie like that?
That's more for you than Dottie, I have a feeling.